So welcome to Real Identity Ministries, and to everyone online, welcome. We are jumping around a little bit this week. Sometimes it's good to mix it up, all right? So spiritual principles, we know that spiritual principle number 1 is what? Honesty. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is willingness. I know last week we did 7, which was humility. It's okay. We'll go back to willingness. It actually gave me the opportunity to do my little project over here, so it works out. So willingness. What is willingness? Anybody? Don't read your sheet. Just tell me what's your definition. I know you're like, what's the answer? This is not a quiz. This is when you hear someone say willingness, what's the first thing that pops in your mind?
To be willing to do something.
Okay, without saying the word willing, because that's circular reasoning, what is willingness?
Action to make that first step into doing something.
Okay,
But you know,
Consideration.
okay.
Considering action.
Yes, considering action, right? Considering action, that's a good one. So it says the quality or state of being prepared to do something or readiness. So you guys were there. Being prepared to do something. If I am prepared, y'all are fine. Musical chairs. Shane's like trying to, there's a seat next to me. Someone come sit next to me. Anyway, if we're preparing to do something, have we done it yet? If we're preparing to do something, that's fine. If we're preparing to do something, we haven't actually done it yet. We're just making preparations. We're getting ready, right, to do something. So the spiritual navigation for willingness says we are entirely ready to have God, through Jesus Christ, remove all defects of character. We're entirely ready. When you get ready for a race, are you already running the race? No. You're just ready. You're at the starting line, right? So this means you're at the starting line. We've been working out, been getting into shape, right? With honesty, hope, faith, courage, integrity, right? We're building up to this thing. Now we're ready to get into the nitty-gritty of things. So it says, being entirely ready, we must have established trust to truly give Him, who is Him, Jesus, God, control to oversee transforming you, not changing you, right? Transforming you. It says, I'll make you a new creation in Christ, right? So we must be willing to allow Him to show us, this is tough, y'all, allow Him to show us our character defects and faults. He is the only one who knows every area of our heart, mind, will, emotions, conscience, and imagination. These faculties are the areas He desires to make whole. It is best to be totally honest about our feelings towards God and authorities in and around us. Now, if we're not totally honest with ourselves, are we helping ourselves in any way? Are we assisting Him in the process? Or are we resisting Him in the process? Right? We don't want to resist God. You never are going to win that battle, right? So we are going to pause for the cause. You're good. Go ahead. All are welcome. Yes, it's a full circle. All right. Catch you up. We're talking about willingness. the quality or state of being prepared to do something, readiness. Okay, so I like to call this getting down to the nitty gritty, because up until this point, I could kind of, I don't want to say I could halfway do it and get away with it, but you could. This is the point where if you don't sell out, if you're not completely honest, if you're not totally surrendered to God, this thing will start to work you like you are in a fight with Mike Tyson and you are ill prepared. Okay? It's just, I've been there. I have been there where I've halfway done it and just kind of went through the motions, and I thought, oh my God, I have got so beat up. Like, what is this building in me? Quit being lazy. That's what it taught me. Don't do that. Be honest with me. Don't be lazy in what I'm telling you to do. It's like, okay, Lord, you could have said that without the left hook, but it is what it is. So, in courage, y'all remember we began to write out your story, right? You began to write out your good, your bad, your ugly. When y'all began the process, did you see any of your fault? Or did you mostly, in the very beginning, talk about, well, they did this to me, this to me, this to me, this to me, this is why I am this way? In the very beginning.
Yeah, pinpoint all their faults, and then when you get down to it, you have to realize that, oh man, I have responsibility there.
Right. Anybody else do it that way? I'll be very honest. That is exactly how, when my counselor gave that to me to do, I was like, they did this, and I brought her a whole notebook back the next week, and she was like, great, this is a good start. And I'm like, start, girl, that's my life. From start to now. Like, what do you mean start? She's like, now let me, this was moving into integrity, let me pose a question to you. Because of this happening to you, how do you now respond in similar situations? What has become your default? And I'm like, so that made me think. So I had to do a chart. I'm going to flip this thing around. Maybe not embarrass myself by knocking it over. Okay, I'm going to stand behind it. Okay, so my graph looked a little bit like this, okay? So it's trauma, my response. I did not write out my whole graph for y'all. This board is not big enough, okay? So I just went with one. My biggest one I tackled, physical abuse. Okay, I was physically abused. I was mentally, emotionally abused by my father. Y'all have all heard that before, right? So, what did this create in me? How did my attitude shift? How did I build my walls up around myself because of this action, right? My physical abuse was not my fault. How I then responded to others who were not abusing me became my fault. Okay? So, because of this action that was done to me, I began not being able to read my own handwriting. Being distrusting of people, I was extremely stubborn and aggressive, defensive, angry all the time, and a complete control freak. Okay? So I had to start writing these things out. Are these good things or are they bad things? Well, being stubborn, in my mind at that time, was a good thing. It was how I survived. It's how I am not dead yet. Surely because I wanted to tick him off by surviving, right? That was my mindset. It kept me going. But is it really good to be stubborn? Because now I'm not just stubborn with him, I'm stubborn with God. I'm stubborn with you guys. I'm stubborn with Dustin. I'm stubborn with the kids. And there's times that you have to be yielding, right? I can be stubborn with the devil all day. I can be stubborn with the devil all day. That's a good thing. To be able to resist the devil is a good thing. But knowing how to yield, because I did not know how to yield, knowing how to yield when it was necessary to someone I could trust, I was already distrusting, so I didn't think there was anybody I could yield to. I had to work on that, right? So, this is the first thing she made me do, like, integrity-wise. Like, okay, sure they did these things to you, but what do you do now? Like, what walls do you have built up? Because of this is how you take responsibility for your part. I've said that before, and people are like, are you saying I'm responsible for my abuse? No. You're responsible for your response to your abuse, right? So then I did a willingness web. Isn't it beautiful? So I took one of these traits for y'all's purposes. I just chose control freak because if anybody has ever met me in this circle, y'all know I'm a little bit of a control freak. Still, right? I want things to go the way I want them to go. I want it to look exactly like I envision it in my mind, right? Anybody that worked with me on the gala knows if it didn't look like I said it. There was one snafu, right? This is where I realized this is still a problem in me. The name cards was the only snafu of the whole thing, and I'm like, it's a disaster! The world's on fire! We're never gonna... And Dustin was like, babe, I'll just call them and we'll get them to fix it real quick. And I never said, Abigail, this is your fault. Like, I fully was like, the printer should have known. Like, and Dustin was like, okay, babe, but like, calm down. It was a whole moment, right? I pitched a teetotal fit. I was shaking. The world was ending, okay? Because it didn't go the way I planned for it to go. It all worked out. Everybody had a name tag. After all that, people didn't even show up that said they was going to show up. I was like, don't let it make you mad, don't let it make you mad, don't let it make you mad, right?
There's one name that didn't have.
They didn't even show up. So I was like, God knew you weren't coming. But like, so this is still an issue with me, right? So I think this is like the easiest one to work on. I don't see, no, there's nowhere to be. I'm going to sit under it. No, that's still too high. I don't know. Y'all have to, I'll shift it around. All right, so put my focus in the top bubble. Control freak. What's my favorite question? Why? But why? Why am I a control freak? Well, history has shown me that unknown things were painful, right? That's a deflection, okay? Because of this, then I adapted this, hurt them before they hurt you. You're in control of the relationship. No one can ever get close to you. No one can ever truly know you. You're safe. But then what happened? I became a victimizer. I did to someone else what was done to me that I hated and was unaware, right? Because I didn't punch them. I didn't kick them. I didn't hold a gun to their head. But I killed them emotionally. I made sure you had no idea who I truly was, right? Another why. Controlled variables equals controlled outcome. If I can control everything in the situation, I will get the desired outcome. I won't have to worry about confrontation. I won't have to worry about any ill effects, right? Because I don't want to harm myself. It will all be hunky-dory. Then, when you come down to the root of the thing, it was the desire to always appear like it was all together, like I had it all together. Because I did not want anyone to know how broken I was. So I had to be willing to go through this, and this was painful the first time I did it, y'all. I was like, oh crap, I do care what people think, because I would have told y'all, and I think I still say this from time. I don't care what you think about me. But I did. I wanted people to think I had it all together, that there was no problems in my life, right? That was when I started using makeup that covered bruises well. I didn't know how to contour when I was a teenager, but I knew how to conceal, okay? Like, I knew how to make it look like it wasn't a big deal. I knew how to spin the story in my head that there was nothing going on. Our home's perfect. We have a perfect family. We have a perfect house. Everything's good. Nobody needed to know, right? All right, if I was perfect, people would want to be my friends or love me. I had convinced myself if I could just be perfect, they'll stop getting mad. If I can just be perfect, everyone will love me. But they won't love me if I let them see my flaws. If I let them see me weak. That's why I still, to this day, when I cry in front of y'all, I'm like, shoot me? No. I hate it. I hate it with every fiber of me. So Sunday, I was like, Dustin, I hate you so much right now. Can I even believe you called me up here? You knew I was going to cry. you knew it. And he's like, it's okay. It's okay. Like, it's not okay. We're not okay. Deal with this when we get home. We're not okay. But this is like just my process, right? That's why I don't take compliments well. I can't control what comes out of other people's mouths about me. And so it's very unsettling for me, right? We've talked about all these things. If I'm perfect, then people will want to be my friends and they'll love me. Also, if you're perfect, people don't tend to tell you you're perfect, right? They just leave you be. When they see you struggle and they realize you need to be lifted up and affirmed in something, that's when they will come and they will, even people who don't know you, and I've realized this, like when you let the mask slip in public, like I was in Waffle House one day, and just for like a split second, like one little tear, I don't know how this waitress saw it across the room, but she came over and she was like, honey, I just want you to know everything's going to be okay. You're beautiful. And I'm like, oh my God, why are you talking to me? Because if I would have sat here and been perfect and not let it slip, she would have been like, here's your check. Right? She wouldn't have said a word to me. So all of this perfection in my head was to, again, keep people away. Or at least at an arm's length. Okay? And that ties back to my controlled variables, controlled outcome. If I'm perfect, everyone leaves me alone. No one asks me any questions. No one wants to get to the root of anything. Dustin wants to get to the root of everything. I'm like, sometimes I'm just in a bad mood. There's not even a root. I don't know. Hormones. I'm a woman. Leave me alone. But see, everybody in this room who has had any kind of close relationships, like, I know exactly what you don't even know. At 3 o'clock in the morning, what's wrong with you? Nothing. 3 a.m. It's 3 a.m. All right. So my desire to always appear like I had it all together. This makes me a victimizer, right? Because I'm manipulating people with this. Nobody's got it together all the time. But it was a facade. It was a mask. Then it ties back to being highly informed. This was something I would do. I'd be high, and I still do this, so I'm working on it. Be highly informed about hot button issues, so that I can be in any conversation at any time. So now I know a lot about a little and a little about a lot because I've made myself, right? And some of it truly interests me. Some of it I don't care. I didn't care. I just want to be able to be in the conversation, right? And I also, this is terrible, but I'm going to say it out loud, I wanted to be the smartest person in the room. I wanted to make you feel like I was the smartest person in the room. I didn't want you to feel like I thought I was the smartest person in the room. I wanted you to think that's the smartest person in the room. You see what I'm saying? Okay? And so I would create a stance on the hot button issue, and I'd be willing to debate it, but I would also have to be charming enough that I could sway you to side with me. That is straight up manipulation and witchcraft. Straight up. I didn't see it in myself. I didn't know. I didn't consciously know. I think I subconsciously knew because I was able to do this web, right? But I didn't consciously know I'm trying to manipulate these people. Like I wasn't trying to be a scam artist to get something over on somebody. I just didn't want anybody to know the broken little girl that I was, right? So then it ties back to manipulation. All this ties back to being a victimizer. Now I have become the thing I hate most, just like my abuser, right? We did it in different ways. My dad don't care if he's the smartest person in the room. He literally does not care, okay? He's kind of a hermit. He likes to be away from people. He reminds me of the little mole in, it's a mole, right? In Ice Age, it was like, I live in this hole, I'm born in this hole, I'm dying in this hole. Like, he didn't want to go on the journey with it. That's my dad, right? Am I wrong? I'm not wrong. Like, he just would prefer not to people. The older I get, the more I realize there's a little bit of that in me to just be like introverted and not, but back in the day, I was the most extroverted extrovert you would ever meet. I was the life of the party. I was here for it all. You want to do shots? I was here for it. You want to dance? I'm here for it. You want to wrestle? I'm here for it. You want to fight? I'm here for it. Like, it was just, I wanted to be in control of what you thought of me. And really, that's not our job, right? So when we do our willingness webs, I encourage you guys to go home and do your willingness web. It is a whole lot of fun to realize that you're not the person you thought you were, right? It's not bad, because if you can see it, if I'm willing to write it down, if I'm willing to admit it out loud to you guys, that this is who I was, this is how I operated, this is what I was dealing with on a day-to-day, second-by-second basis, I could chameleon in with any group, right? I was like, I may not agree with you, I may not even like you, but I'm surrounded by you right now. My stance was going to be my stance, but I could somehow make you like me, even though we really probably hated each other. So I had to be willing to see these things about myself. And when I wrote it down, it was no longer, they did to me, they did to me, they did to me, they did to me. Because one person did that to me, right? One person abused me, but now I have went and abused everyone that I've come into contact with in some way or another. Manipulation is abuse. Emotionally keeping people at a distance is abuse. Wanting something from them but not willing to give anything back, that's abuse, right? So these are all forms of abuse. I may have never thrown a punch, but I probably would have been better off. They probably would have been better off, right? Because I could cut someone down so fast. Because I just had become this master of manipulation and wordplay, and like I said, I knew a lot about a little and a little about a lot. And so it just became easy. It became second nature to be whoever I needed to be to survive in the moment. The problem with that is you lose who you truly are. So even though there's a little bit of a control freak in me naturally, even though there's a little bit in me that's like, it needs to look a certain way, it needs to be a certain way. Clearly I've lost that about the physical thing because I just don't care. I'm tired, y'all. I'm too tired to care anymore about that. But that is naturally a little bit in me for me to be, what did y'all say? I was a serial volunteer. Isn't that what y'all called me during football season? You voluntold us we were going to wear the concession stand. Like, I genuinely enjoy party planning. I genuinely enjoy serving the community in whatever way fits best. So if someone asks me and it's not something that I disagree with, like I'm obviously not going to go to the satanic school club after school and help serve the kids, right? I'll be like, I'll serve you Jesus. But like, I'm not working their concession stand while they're doing their seance, you know? But like, if I can help, I'm gonna help. It is a little bit of a problem because I'm an overcommitter, right? It's not a bad thing, it's not a great thing, okay? But it's not like a detrimental thing to my character, like the severe control freak manipulation thing, you know? It's not like that. But now I'm like an over-server. I'm like, what time do you need us to be there? I'm gonna be there 30 minutes early. You want me to help you set up? I know you just go have a seat. I'll do it. I don't care. It's fine. I'll do it. And I enjoy doing it. But at the same time, my husband's like, babe, you've got 4 kids in the concession stand. I think Elijah found a rat. Like, what's going on? You guys okay? And I'm like, they just needed some help. And I truly believe, like, our kids, our community, the children in our community need our support. They need Christian support, right? But I still have to be willing to see that even in that, sometimes I go a little far to the left or the right instead of just, the Lord told me to do this, so I did it, and then I volunteered for 6 other things, right? So like, as you're doing your willingness web, and this can be super big. This board is just not big enough for all of my examples. as you're doing it, I encourage you to work on one thing at a time. Because like, if I would have tried to tackle all of these responses at once, I would have been really like down on myself, right? So you can work one thing at a time. If I'm willing to see it, I'm willing. We were already in integrity. We said, hey, this is the problem. So you were already kind of willing in integrity. So now I got to take that willingness to be integral and not lie to the Holy Spirit or myself, and I got to break it down. What's the root? Why do I really do this? What's really going on in my brain? Is it really because I love to serve? And if that's the answer, that's awesome. Or is it because there's something I want to put out there that's not? So like, okay, we got something going on with Luke right now, right? I still show up to everything. And Dustin's like, part of you shows up for your kid. The other part of you wants him to see that you're the only one that showed up. And I'm like, is that true? Is it? I have to search myself on that. Did that become, that's not a good desire to have, right? To prove you wrong. I'm really good at going into proving people wrong, right? It goes all the way back to this. Be highly intelligent, be the smartest person in the room, right? Like, so I have to work through that. Is that what I'm doing? I believe there's a part of that is true, but how do I balance that? Because I don't believe I just pull out and not be there for my kid, but how do I do it with the right motives and intention? But I have to be willing to acknowledge, part of me does want him to see that I'm here and his dad's not. No matter what, right? But that's like wrong motives and intentions. So how do I work past that? How do I work to where it is back to just because it's my kid, I showed up? So I began showing up even when he's not playing. He ain't even at the soccer field. Because I truly love his teammates. I truly love every kid on that field, and there are kids whose parents never show up. For one reason or another, they either have to work, or they just are absent, or they just don't come. They're tired. So I'm like, these kids need somebody to yell for them. I have a loud mouth. I'm a good yeller. I don't understand soccer, but I'm here to yell for them. I just yell crazy stuff. Luke told me one day, he said, Mom, you were yelling and it didn't even make sense, but I knew you was here. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm like, push up. I don't know what that means. Just do it. Everybody else is yelling it. Follow, push up. I have now learned that means go towards your goal without being like, just kick it in the goal. You know, that's just a little way of saying that. I'm learning. But being willing, okay? That's what we're talking about. Are you willing to be honest? God already knows, so like, there's no point lying to him. But we do lie to ourselves a lot, right? And it's because it's easier to believe the facade that we've created for ourselves. It's easier to believe that I am this good person who has never had a negative motive or intention, or a selfish motive. That's an easier version to believe of myself, right? But the truth is, there are times I've been plenty selfish. There are times that my motives and intentions were completely selfish. Not even just like halfway in, like, well, it's good for you and it's good for me. It's like, no, it was all me, and it was really damaging to you. What is this? No, I don't want to allow this to change my, I don't know what you're talking about. Technology's weird, y'all. So, who's ready to dive in and see the works of their flesh? And to spiritually highlight the works of your flesh that you operate in. That's what Dustin calls willingness, your spiritual highlighter. Because you're really not doing anything yet, you're just highlighting it. Right? Anybody? Yeah. It says, works of the flesh, old nature, adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lewdness, idolatry, sorcery, hatred, contentions, jealousies, outbursts of wrath, selfish ambitions, dissensions, heresies, envy, murders, drunkenness, revelries. Like, we've all said we've hated something, right? If you haven't, that's awesome. I'm gonna need you to come lay hands on me because that's still the word that's in my vocabulary and I need it to die. Like, because I don't even mean it anymore. It's become so, like a, you just like a buzzword. Yeah, I'm desensitized to it. Like, everyone's like, oh my God, I hate that so much for you. And it should kind of like when people are like, I love that. And they just like it. We've made those words mean nothing. You know what I mean? But there's a true meaning to these things. Like, hatred is a work of my flesh. For me to genuinely have that feeling of hate towards somebody, and I would love to say I haven't felt that in a long time, but I have to be honest with myself, right? I'm like, I think I hate that person. God's like, do you? And I'm like, I think so. And he's like, do you? Like, now I know what people talking to me feel like when I'm like, why? But why? Like, are you sure? And I'm like, I'm pretty dang sure, Lord. Like, my hands are sweaty, my blood pressure's up, my heartbeat's racing, I just want to punch him in the face. He's like, but do you? And I'm like, and then he'll hit me with like a scenario, like, what if something bad happened to them? Would you be happy or sad? Would you have any empathy? And I'm like, I don't want anything bad to happen for him. He's like, you just wanted to punch him in the face. That's not nice. That's not good. You're telling me you hate them if you die, if their sock is bothering them or they wake up 2 minutes before their alarm. It's just like annoyances. But like to wish those annoyances on people, because annoyance after annoyance after annoyance after annoyance in a day can make you feel like you're going crazy, right? And you're like, I know it's all little things, but they've just built up on top of each other. Now I'm ready to explode. So now I have wished this feeling of unsettlement on this person, and the things we say have power. Our voice has power. I know that. I know that here and here. I don't question that. So why do I keep speaking? So that's something you have to pray for me to take the word hatred out of my vocabulary unless I'm talking about the devil. So I just say, I'm like, oh my God, I hate that so much for you. It's like, I really don't. I really don't hate it. I mean, it's inconvenient and I'm sorry. But like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, my coffee's cold. Oh, that's so bad. They gave me unsweet tea today. I hate that. I don't drink unsweet tea. I drink hot tea all the time. Like, it was inconvenient to my life. And so I have to be willing to highlight I made common what God said. This is a work of your flesh and it has to die. This is your old nature and it has to die. And I made it common and I've accepted it in my new nature. So it has to die. Right? And then we have to be focused on the fruit of the Spirit. Love. Agape love, not Phebos love. I don't care nothing about feeling good, okay? I want the agape love that will call me to the mat and tell me when I'm acting crazy. Okay? If you are my friend and you truly love me, not the love I was trying to get over here, you will look at me and be like, that's enough. You are spiraling out of control and you're acting like a crazy person. I'm going to need you to reel it in. Okay? My best friend, she loves me. She does not hesitate to call me to the mat. I know you know better than that. I will call Dustin. Make me call Dustin and tell him that you're over here acting a fool. I'm like, you know what? Don't threaten me with calling my husband. But she does. Like, would you act like this in front of your husband? Probably not. You know? Like, I don't vent to my husband like I vent to my best friend. You know, it's just different. It's just a different relationship. Mainly because my husband will be like, okay, but what did you do? I don't want to talk about that right now. Okay? We're talking about what they did that's inappropriate. I'm not saying what they do is appropriate, but you can, okay, we're not doing this. I'm not doing that. Call it Izzy. Right? And she does exactly. I will call Dustin. I'm like, y'all are no fun anymore. But I gotta focus on love. I gotta focus on joy. I gotta focus on peace. I gotta focus on long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Not control freak. Self-control. Meaning I'm not trying to control you or the situation. I'm trying to control me. and how I respond to said situation. Also, this is just a fun fact. As you're doing this, it gets a little heavy, okay? Because you're admitting your character defects to yourself. Jesus already knows. You're admitting to yourself, I'm a control freak. I have a rage problem. I get defensive at nothing. I really don't trust people. I really have a hard time loving people. Yet, whatever the case may be, it gets heavy to like accept those things about yourself. So remember in this time to pray prayers of gratitude. That sounds weird, I know. But do you know what brings you out of depression, anxiety, fear, and that like overwhelmed feeling? Prayers of gratitude. I don't care if the only thing you can thank him for is that Dr. Pepper. That one little prayer of thanking him for something. Like I really did get unsweet tea today. I really was upset. I wanted my sweet tea, okay? And I was like, I think I got a Dr. Pepper in the fridge in there. And I grabbed the Dr. Pepper and I was like, ha! Got it. Thank you, Jesus. Like that, literally, I'm grateful for Dr. Pepper. That may be the only thing that you can be grateful for in that moment. But as you begin the prayer of gratitude, it opens up other things like, even though I'm going through this process, you've already worked so much in me. You're already like allowing me to see a transformation. You're allowing me to see the transformation of my family. You have preserved me from the many times that I should be dead from my own tomfoolery, right? So these little prayers of gratitude will help you remember this. Doing this is not to beat you up. You're not being self-loathing when you're willing to see your character defects or your flaws or your shortcomings, or however you want to view them. It's not beating you up. It is identifying it so that you can then say, here you go. And Jesus will take it just like that. Jesus will go, what you want me to do with that? Right? Because there have been times in the past, thank you, where I could try to hand Abigail something, or she could try to hand me something, and we'll be like, what do you want me to do with that? What is it? What are you trying to give me, right? Because we're questioning your motives and intentions. We're being distrusting, and like she's got to the point like, this is some kind of demonstration. I don't even have to understand it. Like, here, let me take it. My husband will just throw things at you, right? Here, catch. Throwing it as he's saying catch. Who was that? You did that too. Not too long ago. I was like, what? What? Right? Jesus, literally, you could do that. You could be like, Jesus, ah! And he's like, got it. Okay? He's like a Zuna out there, just catching it. So when you're willing, and you say your prayers of gratitude, and you give him like, hey man, I'm a control freak. I don't know how you're going to work with that because, again, I feel like I know everything. And I feel like my way is the best way. So how are you going to break that down for me? I'm not sure, Jesus, but I'm giving it to you. And I'm just going to watch you work. And then when you get to watch him work, he'll go into humility and you have to do what he's telling you to do, right? And you I guess we're in humbly ask him to remove your shortcomings. So I guess we're recapping what was going on last week. But it makes it easier, right? Because if I don't see this as a task just to beat myself down. So a lot of times with addiction, I know they don't do this with abuse as much, but with addiction especially, like if you're fighting an addiction to something, people will beat you down. Well, if you never would have started in the first place, you could just quit. Why don't you just quit? Right? They say all these things, and it's just not that simple. And every addict, I've never met a single person who was addicted to something that was like, I enjoy being this way. I was born in this hole, I'm going to live in this hole, I'm going to die in this hole. Like, I've never met anyone in addiction who didn't want to be out of addiction and just didn't know a way out. Right? So, if that's your struggle in this circle, mine is abuse and trauma and all that kind of stuff. If yours is addiction, you are not beating yourself up. Okay? We all have flaws. We all have character defects. Not a single person in this circle has ever been perfect. no matter how much we try to appear perfect. So just because your problem looks different than my problem doesn't make it any greater or less of a problem, right? And people will be like, well, they did it to themselves. They really didn't. They really didn't. No, I don't know anybody who got addicted to stuff just because it was fun. You see documentaries and you're like, nobody takes that for fun. Nobody's enjoying these hallucinations. Nobody's enjoying the pain of coming off of it. Nobody's enjoying watching their family be ripped apart. Nobody's enjoying seeing themselves lose control day by day and second by second. Nobody's enjoying that. Nobody. So in this circle, in this church, you will never, ever, ever be punished because you have a character defect. We will help you come out of it. We will not allow you to continue in it once you see it. We will hold you accountable, but we will not punish you because you have a character defect or you went through some trauma and now you've created